Hola, everyone. Welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host, y Café con Leche, every Friday. And happy Hispanic Heritage Month, mi gente. As we continue to celebrate the contributions and influences of Hispanic Americans on the nation's achievements, culture, and history, today's show is dedicated to our local Latinidad. For those who may not know, Bronxnet Studios is located on the campus of Lehman College, a federally designated Hispanic-serving institution, and for decades, Bronxnet and Lehman College have been working in tandem to educate and empower emerging media makers. And today is a very special episode as we recognize the achievements made by the Hispanic Lehman community with a live studio audience. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host, y Café con Leche, for the next hour, inviting you to get social with us online. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at Bronxnet TV or like us on Facebook at Open Bronxnet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow moi on FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, Threads, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So today we begin with the president of Lehman College, Dr. Fernando Delgado. The son of immigrants, father from Mexico and mother from Spain, Dr. Delgado, like more than 60% of Lehman students, was also a first-generation college student holding a bachelor's degree in political science from San Jose University and a master's degree and PhD in communication studies from the University of Iowa. Dr. Delgado continues to publish and present his research, which centers on questions of Latinx identity and popular culture, as well as the role of sports in society. He joins us now to share more. Please welcome President of Lehman College, Dr. Fernando Delgado. Hello and welcome, and thank you for taking the time to be with us here on set.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, what do you think? This is your campus.
It's nice. I've never been to this far down on the campus, and it's a real production studio. Yeah, it's quite nice. Quite nice.
Thank you. Not bad for a sub-basement, huh?
Not bad for a sub-basement. Yes. At least you get all the vibration and noise out of here.
Right, right. Well, again, thank you. I know this is a very busy season for you, specializing in Latinx identity, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month.
Hispanic Heritage Month carries a certain weight here in the Bronx that, frankly, I didn't experience when I was in Minnesota for the last 17 odd years. But it's good to be in the environment, and it's good to feel la cultura from all the various places that you feel. We're in the middle of it, but we've already had a number of events on campus, and we've had some occasions to work off campus, particularly with the New York Yankees. So it's an exciting time for us.
Nice. And you did mention coming in from Minnesota. I know you took office in July of 2021, which I would say is still considered like the pandemic era.
Yep.
That must have been a little challenging for you, but let's just share with everyone a little bit of your background, because when we were discussing your travels, you originate from California, then you studied in Iowa, then Arizona.
Faculty member in Arizona.
Faculty member in Arizona, and then in Minnesota, you also were a faculty member.
I did most of my administrative work in Minnesota and then in Wisconsin.
Wow. And then now you're here serving as our president on Lehman College campus in the Bronx.
In the Bronx, in the Boogie Down Bronx.
In the Boogie Down Bronx.
At the best, what I consider to be the best college in the system, best four-year college in the system. We have a lot of pride in what we do, and we have a lot of external accolades for what we do. And our students are excellent. They deserve the best of us, and I'm thrilled that we have the faculty and staff that believe in our mission. Many of them are alums. A lot of them come from the Bronx and have that sense of pride. And we put it all together in what we would call a menudo, where I come from, and it's very tasty. It works very well.
Oh, we love that. We call that sancocho.
There you go.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that transition from Minnesota to the Bronx in the middle of a pandemic.
I mean, traffic was a lot less. So that
Right.
was helpful. It was easy and complicated at the same time.
Okay.
So I have to say the people in New York, despite everybody's stereotypes on television, were incredibly friendly, and not just on campus. My wife and I, she's originally from Minnesota, lived her entire life in Minnesota. We were struck at just how friendly and open people were. There were glitches because staff weren't around, so we came out in the spring. The chancellor allowed us to come out in the spring and find an apartment, and then we realized nobody was going to let us into any apartment buildings. So we would go to apartments and stand on the sidewalk, and they would hand us an iPad and do a video tour. And we kind of sat there going, well, we could have done this from our house in Minnesota, but okay, we're here anyways. But at least we got to know the neighborhoods.
We were living in a different time.
It was a very different time. Our moving company subcontracted 3 times because they couldn't find drivers. And so our household goods didn't get here for about 3.5 months. So that was kind of fun. It was like camping in an apartment.
Yeah, but what made you decide to even take on this position?
So I worked in a system that was going through some changes. And there weren't a lot of long-term commitments to a group of us in the senior staff, which is fine. I had a daughter who was graduating high school that year, and her dream was to go to school in New York. I had a partner who was interested in an adventure, and her dream was to live in New York. And I was in the middle, during the pandemic, of a professional development course for people who were kind of interested in being a president. So one of the homework assignments was to go study an institution that was looking for a president that might be a good fit. And my natural inclination was look in Texas and California, because that's where my networks were. But Lehman kept popping up because they had a presidency open. And so one of the homework assignments was write a cover letter. And it was being evaluated by the people running the program. And they said, oh, this is a pretty good letter. You going to apply? And I hadn't thought about it, so I went and talked to one of my colleagues in Minnesota. And they said, why don't you apply? I mean, you clearly have already done the work. So we applied. And they called and said, we want to do a Zoom interview. Okay. You made it to the next round. We want to do an all-day Zoom interview. Okay. And at that point, it was around the holiday season, I turned to my kids and my wife and I said, I think this is going to get serious. This is no longer a homework assignment. And sure enough, shortly after January, the chancellor called and said, you want a job?
Wow.
And then it got real serious for about 48 hours.
Right.
And so we chatted, and I chatted with my ex-wife because one or both of the kids were going to stay behind, and we kind of worked it out amongst us, and we came out to start that next chapter of our adventure. And one of the things that I really was drawn to Lehman is that the story of Lehman students resonates with me, my story, my family story, where I grew up, when I grew up. And of course, when you come to a place like New York, whether it's the Bronx or almost any of the boroughs, the diversity,
Right.
the saturation of cultures, the energy, it's infectious. And so the adjustment was pretty short to living here. It took a minute to get used to traffic on the parkways, but we found our happy places. Because of COVID, it took a lot longer to adjust to the campus because we were closed for most of my first year here. But now everything's kind of back to normal.
And so, what similarities or differences do you find being in the Bronx versus Minnesota? Aside from the traffic.
Oh, no, we didn't have traffic.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
right? You didn't
no.
have traffic over there.
Target's
Target?
similar, yeah. Target's similar. There's really not, I mean, look, we lived in really far north Minnesota, lovely Duluth, Minnesota, along Lake Superior. Metropolitan index number is about 120,000 people straddling that lake. It's a great college town, lots of friends, family. There's just no, no.
What about the culture, though? Like, was there a strong population of Latinx in Minnesota?
In the Twin Cities, there is. And it goes back 3 or 4 generations because of the packing plants and the railroad. And then in southern Minnesota, along Interstate 90, there historically were a whole bunch of poultry processing and meat processing plants across east-west of Minnesota. And over the generations, it's been immigrants, not just from Latin America, mostly Mexican, but also from Africa. A lot of Somalis and Sudanese as well. So an interesting culture mix in southern Minnesota. I remember when I worked down there at another school, there was a high school, and the principal, who was Latina, she said, you know, in our schools, there are 19 different languages spoken other than English. And so it's surprising because it's not visible. But if you scratch the surface in these communities, you see the signs that there is an emerging community there. And certainly in Minneapolis and St. Paul, there are pockets. You know, as we always say, we have a Cesar Chavez Boulevard. So that says something to us. So that's where the community sort of centers at, particularly around Cinco de Mayo, because it's predominantly Mexican immigrants. But no, up in Duluth, not so much.
Not like here. Here we're up front and center, especially here on campus.
Yeah, of course.
So it is important that we have representation in leadership positions. And how has that served you?
Again, seamless, right? Because if you think of most of the history of Lehman, for 26 years we had Ricardo Fernandez. And Ricardo retired. I don't know why. I mean, 26 years, you might as well go for 30, but Ricardo and his family thought it was time, so fair enough. And then we had Jose Luis Cruz come in. And Jose Luis came from California, but his background is from Puerto Rico, so it was a good fit. And then we had an interim as Jose Luis moved on, and then myself. So there is almost an expectation. There's this legacy of having Latino or Latina presidents be in the Bronx. We see that with the other 2 campuses. I've got my colleague Daisy and my colleague Milton at Hostos and Bronx Community College. And I think we play to those strengths. We're not exclusive. We want everybody from the Bronx and beyond. But I think it's important to communities in the Bronx that they see us as symbols, as representatives, as people who understand the communities and the stories that come from those communities.
Absolutely. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Mexican Studies Institute that resides here at Lehman College. But we're going to take a quick break, you guys. We're going to have more with Dr. Delgado when we return. You don't want to miss. Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with the president of Lehman College, Dr. Fernando Delgado. And before we went for break, we were discussing the importance of representation in leadership. And then there's also the celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, and where we all kind of get placed into that pot of sancocho and honor each other. And we discussed the Mexican Studies Institute before we went to break, and its relevance here on campus. So talk to us a little bit about your role with them.
Well, my role is really to try to raise its profile, raise some money, give it some shape and direction. But the Mexican Studies Institute is like a number of other identity institutes. They're housed on a campus, but they serve all 5 boroughs. They're open to partner with any of the other institutions. In some ways, we take our cues from perhaps the most famous and longstanding, which is El Centro de Estudios Puertorriqueños at Hunter, but there's also a Dominican Studies Institute at City College. For us, the profile is interesting because both in Westchester County, but also in the Bronx, the Mexican population is growing. Perhaps not as fast as the Dominican population, perhaps not the sort of anchors that the Puerto Rican community has had here, but it's growing.
You keep mentioning the Dominicans. We got to acknowledge you for being honored as the padrino this year at the Bronx Dominican Parade.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting. My first reaction is, they know I'm not Dominican, right? Are they sure? they were very, no, that's fine. You know, you represent Lehman. Lehman is part of the community. It's part of the fabric. And I'm like, okay, tell me what I need to do.
But that's the beauty. We embrace each other.
Oh, no, and it was great. I mean, there was a wonderful gala event a couple of nights ahead of time, and then we gathered for what, 4 or 5 hours along the Grand Concourse, and us special people, we got to wear a sash and hang out with the folks. And it's funny because people have these stereotypes of the Bronx, and you have celebrations like that literally pull people out into the streets, and you realize how thin, how manufactured some of those stereotypes are when you think about how strong that sense of community, that sense of family, that sense of celebration together happens. And I think it's even more so coming out of COVID. I think lots of people are looking for those opportunities. So it was a little bit warm, I gotta be honest. It was a little bit sticky out there. But we hung out there by the stage and along the route for about 4.5, 5 hours. It's a fun afternoon.
I bet, and I bet you've been celebrating a lot this month, right? our token month, September 15th to October 15th. I understand that Lehman itself has housed a lot of these events. So can you share a few of them? I mean, I'm sure you've been celebrating quite a bit this particular year.
So it is interesting. It is interesting because some of the events bleed from the community. So even if you go to things like the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, there's that vibe. And we had a gala during Hispanic Heritage Month. They're serious. We've had a couple of elected officials, Udelka Tapia and Natalia Fernandez, host a drug policy in the Bronx event on our campus. And I think that was important. It's somber, but it's an important conversation about the wellness and the health of our communities. Obviously, for us and our students, we've had a couple of events with the New York Yankees. And kudos for them to reach out and celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, and we love them as partners, and it seems like we're developing more and more partnerships. That's been fun. The big Celia Cruz event on campus.
Plus she just got placed on a coin.
That's the whole thing, right? She's on a quarter. I mean, who'd have thought Nuestra Gente would be on a quarter in the United States?
Afro-Latina on top of that.
Afro-Latina, right?
Yeah.
It's a twofer in that respect, because we're not supposed to be in those spaces. And so not only is she in that space representing us, but we have the opportunity then during Hispanic Heritage Month to have celebrated her. And those are wonderful moments. And it is only a month, but I gotta be honest, because we have wonderful faculty and the composition of our campus, we're about 60% Latino. Unlike perhaps Minnesota, maybe we don't just confine the celebration to just the 1 month.
Got it.
We have educational, artistic, performance activities throughout the year that represent la comunidad. Mm-hmm. And certainly we have faculty and staff who teach courses and do enrichment beyond the course that are wonderful. But yes, I mean, the month, I'll be honest, sometimes by the time you get to October 15th, you're a little bit tired. You're a little bit tired because there have been so many events. I mean, I can think of 6 already that we've had, and we've still got a couple of weeks to go.
Yes, and the reason I had asked you about the difference in culture is, and even your enrollment into this space is like what that must have been for you from a cultural sense, because like you said, our leadership was of such, and you stepped into it like seamlessly. However, that's not where you come from, so I just wonder like what that was like for you.
Well, you step tentatively, right? I know I'm Latino, but I also know that I predominantly grew up around Mexicans and Mexican Americans. And we have some unique characteristics to our culture, and it doesn't always blend with other cultures. And so there's a lot that's familiar, and there's a lot that's not. I mean, I remember the first time as a unit, our staff was able to gather as we came back from COVID, and somebody had this idea of having a potluck. So we're sitting there, and somebody comes up and says, "Can I serve you something?" "Oh, I'll go up and get it." "Well, we'll get you, you want some arroz?" And arroz? I know what arroz is. And then they said, "We'll get you some pernil." Well, that doesn't communicate to me, either in the Spanish parts of my roots or the Mexican part of my roots. And I had to ask, "What's that?" And then, they held up a piece of chicken. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'll take some pollo." And I had to ask, like, what makes it pernil?
Pernil is pork.
Pork. I'm sorry. See, that's how confusing it is. The other white meat.
Right.
And so it is in fact moments like that that I realize I'm a Latino, but I'm truly Puerto Rican or Dominican adjacent. Right. I claim to be a fellow traveler as a Latino, and then we're confronted with things, and you're like, Or the first time I
You
heard
gonna say it on camera?
I'm going to say it. The first time I heard somebody say they were catching the wawa. And I just sat there dumbfounded going, they said the entire sentence in Spanish. I'm pretty good at Spanish. It's my first language. What's a wawa? I don't know what a wawa is.
What do you use? Autobus?
Autobus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I went and, tugged on somebody's, what's the wawa? 'Cause I thought, is that water? Because it sounded more like water, right? And the guy looked at me and he pointed, he goes, los camiones. And I looked, and I go, the buses? And he said, yeah, los autobuses aquí son la wawa? And he said, yeah. And he looked at me like, everybody knows it. Why don't you know this? You speak Spanish. How could you not know this? It's moments like that where you're like, okay, we share a lot in common, but there are things that we can still learn from each other and we can laugh about.
Word like that, I would even refer to as being Spanish ebonics, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it's a matter of like where you are. It's part of your environment, right? And I almost even think it's urban.
It could be. But you know what's great about Hispanic Heritage Month is it puts those things on the table for us to celebrate together, right? And so you're in a place where you think, hey, I'm bilingual, I'm bicultural, and you realize the rich diversity, the differences regional between city and urban, between island and mainland, between Central America and South America. And there's still so much to learn from each other as Latinos.
Right.
And yet at the same time, for good and for bad, there's a common set of experiences that pull us together. There's a common aspiration for those of us who come from immigrant families. And we do have a language and a lot of features of the culture that we share in common. And
just different dialects.
And yeah, I mean, look, when we were all younger, whether we were in Miami or New York or Chicago or Los Angeles or San Francisco, where I grew up, and you turned on Univision on a Saturday night, look, we were all watching Don Francisco, right?
Right.
We were all watching Don Francisco.
He did not bring out Sábado Gigante.
I mean, what unifies Latino people in the United States more than, what, you want me to go with Chapulín Colorado?
No, not Chapulín.
So
I love it.
You look at Sábado Gigante, and now as an academic who studies in media, I go back and I watch a 3-hour show, and you literally see them intentionally trying to connect the various different ways that we're Latinos together. We're going to play a little bit to the Cuban people here. Okay, we're going to pull in the Puerto Rican people. All right, we're in Mexico, so we better show some of that. The Chile people. I'm from Chile. Okay, we got to. And so you see that intentionally in there, in that mezcla, in that blend. And it's a wonderful thing. And I think if people understood us celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month in the United States from outside our community, they would really appreciate the joy, the fun that we have.
Right, because we make everything fun, even when it's educational. Yeah, right?
Who throws a better party than us?
Hello. And it doesn't matter the theme. Now, speaking of themes, before we go, I know that there's another event coming up in Puerto Rico with Somos and the Mexican Studies Institute that's being sponsored by Assemblymember Karines Reyes.
Yes.
Really, can we mention that really quickly before we go?
Absolutely. So I think everybody knows what the Somos gathering is about, and it really puts elected officials, supporters from our community, leaders from our community, nonprofits, educational folks together. And we gather in Albany in the spring, and in the fall we gather in San Juan. And this year what we really wanted to focus on from an educational perspective, from a Bronx perspective, are the ways in which we collaborate, the ways in which we figure out ways to help and reach out to the communities, the way we cross over boundaries, and ultimately the common goal, which is to lift up the Latino peoples in the 5 boroughs. Now look, I care about my friends in Queens and Brooklyn. I'm really interested in lifting up the Bronx. I mean, this is my backyard. This is my community. And the Mexican Studies Institute, God bless Jose Higuera and his team, they work in all 5 boroughs, but they know that we really have a mandate in the Bronx. And we have a wonderful partner in elected officials like Karines Reyes. And so we're looking forward to it. We did an event last year as well, where we unified the 3 Latino institutes and talked about what we do separately and together. And we're hoping that we can take that in the context of the Bronx and also talk about the ways in which we can support each other, help develop the Bronx socially, economically, culturally for sure, but I think there's another component that may be related to the economics, and that is the health and well-being of our people. And so each of those areas are areas of resource and opportunity. They're also areas of scarcity, and that's why we come together to try to fill those gaps.
Well, I want to say we thank you so much
Sure.
for taking the time to be here with us.
My pleasure.
And for being so candid about everything.
Sure.
It's amazing to be in the presence of the president of the Lehman College campus and have this very authentic conversation. I genuinely appreciate it. So thank you.
It's my pleasure, my pleasure.
Happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
Igualmente.
Doctor. All right, you guys. Dr. Fernando Delgado, once again, president of Lehman College. And for more information on everything we discuss and or classes and courses at Lehman, you can go to lehman.edu, lehman.edu. Stay tuned. There's more open after the break. Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. As we mentioned earlier, Bronxnet and Lehman College have been working in unison to educate and empower future media makers, connecting Lehman students with our facilities, offering internships in production, reporting, videography, editing, and producing. Which brings us to our next guest, a Dominican American student pursuing a career in media and film production, majoring in film and television studies here at Lehman. He recently wrapped up his summer producing internship at Bronxnet with us here on Open Friday. And he's not only working on class projects, or when he's not working on class projects, I should say, he is a station manager at Lightning Central, a student media organization housed at the Lehman College radio station. Everyone, please welcome Willmer Hernandez, a Lehman College film and television studies major and Lightning Central station manager. Once again, Willmer Hernandez.
It's great to be here. Oh my God, I'm here with Rhina. I'm a fangirl. I should get your autograph after. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I had that effect on you, Willmer.
Well, of course. I spent the summer with you. It's like, now that I'm not with you anymore, I'm like, where's Rhina Valentine when I need her, you know?
All right, we're going to do some recordings so that when you need those affirmations, you can just press play.
Or I could just watch Open on Friday.
That too? Oh my gosh, let me find out you're going to become my publicist también. All right. Well, congratulations on your completion. Congratulations on your role as the station manager.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure to have you here on set with us.
I'm so glad to hear it, really. I tried my best.
Yeah, you're one of our star production interns, yeah. Yeah, no, producer interns. Let me be specific because we have all variations of production services offered here. Now, let's talk a little bit about first what you experienced here, right? Because I just want to give our viewers, provide some insight as to what the actual steps look like.
Okay. Well, I think when I first walked into the door, it really felt like everyone was really well connected with one another. I think one of the things I valued a lot is a well-oiled machine, but also a machine that feels like I'm in a household, where everyone knows their role and everyone can be accepting of each other's mistakes, but also celebratory of each other's achievements and successes. And I love that. It made it feel like I was in someone else's house so that I could feel welcomed in this kind of place. And I couldn't be happier. It's the kind of place that I love and that I dream of always working in, you know? My producer that I was doing the producer intern, Yasmin, she's lovely, she's great.
Yasmin Burgess.
Yasmin Burgess. Okay,
yes.
She is great, honestly. I think I enjoy how patient she is with others, but also how assertive she is of her vision. And I think that's the kind of producer that I would love to be, where I can be accepting of other people's creative ideas, but also ensuring that there's a vision and direction that holds. And I think I can take a lot of those traits from her, really. And everyone else here is great. I mean, as you can tell, big fan of her. Oh my God.
Fan me, I'll take it, I accept. Yes, no, we do work really well as a unit here, as you experienced. And we did embrace you as one of our own. It was really a delight to work with you and also to share some of your ideas, right? Or use some of your ideas, I should say. And that right there is for me, that's the part that you get to walk away with saying, I completed, right? Because you came in and in your beginning stages, I don't recall exactly how long your internship was. How many weeks was it?
I believe it was around like 10.
10 weeks.
Because it's shorter for the summer, yeah.
Okay, right, because it was a summer internship. And so you came in, you observed, you familiarized yourself with all the technical equipment. However, really your job is to work directly with my producer and me as well, right, because I'm one of the producers as well. And you were able to balance both of us, me on the creative side, her on the, I'm the mama bear side. and we also welcomed you and your ideas to participate in the development of our Friday shows.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's one of the parts that I like a lot about the fact that even though I came in here to be a producer intern to learn, I still had ample time and access to be able to understand, learn the kind of equipment they use here, understand the skills of everyone else upstairs or down here, like with Joe.
When you say upstairs, just so our viewers understand, when he says upstairs, he's referring to the control room here at Bronxnet Studios.
Yes, the control room. Like being able to understand the skills and the work that people in the control room does, and then people on the floor here. So like, don't really restrict yourself to what you are internshipping at, because that's how you got through the door. Now you're in the house. Take a look at every room there is, because you'll never know when you might find an antique or a special little guest that you might see in the future.
Nice, I like that. And of course you're speaking in that form because you are actually the station manager for Lightning Central, in which you seek guests as well, right? And as a matter of fact, I believe you even loan us some of your guests, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So here at Lightning Central, we host a lot of like different media projects, from podcasts to video series and whatnot. So we've done podcasts with several different kinds of guests, and we like to prioritize guests that are like really active in the Lehman community. So like students creating big events, or possibly even open to faculty members coming onto our station and sharing what they have to say with us. We even open our services to other departments. For an example, the Study Abroad office came and did a abroad diary sharing the experiences of students in other countries. So like I'm really ecstatic to hear that there's a lot of people taking open to being on this kind of place. And of course, why wouldn't I want to share with my guests an additional platform for them to like express, let people know about the things that they're doing.
Right. We're all in this together. Now, talk to me about the different podcasts that Lightning Central houses.
Oh, okay. So I would say that our different programs that we have at Lightning Central kind of varies between the producers that we have. So we have Tea Time, where we have a producer named Andre, where he invites different Lehman students to just come on and talk to him about their experience, whether as a student, as a person, or whatnot. And I feel like it really gives us an insight to kind of the individual experiences that every student has here at Lehman College. And I think it's lovely. Another program we have is we work directly with the Meridian to kind of deliver news to people, either through their social media or through dedicated videos, opening up stories for Lehman students to be informed about. And I think it's wonderful because not only does it allow for Lehman students to also, understand what's happening right here in not only on their campus, but also around it, but it also gives the people at the Meridian some video journalism experience, actually being in front of a camera, being out there and understanding how to work with that kind of field and medium. And I think that's great. Yeah, and then we have much more homely kind of programs where it's more about entertainment, more about really like feeling like you're watching a friend group be a friend group and enjoying themselves with the Four Musketeers podcast. And I think it's great being able to really adhere to a lot of those different genres and audiences. And so whatever you're looking for when it comes to Lehman, I'm hoping that you'll be able to find it right here at Lightning Central.
So if somebody was interested in developing a podcast, how do they go about doing that?
Oh, so we have a poster, a QR code, where you would fill out a Google form, give us the details on what you would want it to be. You would meet with me personally, and I would speak to you about how we can make it happen. And I'm always open to different ideas. Sometimes I might even throw my own ideas to just elevate your show any further that I can, really. Because, at the end of the day, I'm an ideas guy. I love creating shows, so why not, help other people do what I love to do too.
Oh my gosh, it's so wonderful to see how passionate you are about what you're doing. I want to know, what were you able to take from your experience here with us and apply to your role as the station manager at Lightning Central?
Well, first things first, I'd say, is understand. I think talent management. It's like understanding everybody's perspectives and understanding everybody's skills, their comfortability, compatibility, all of that. Just taking all that, like a really big database, and then being able to understand what do they work best in, their strengths and their weaknesses, and applying it such. So no matter what happens, I'm always trying to be considerate of my members and producers and what they're looking from me and what I need to give to them. Because at the end of the day, I find myself a servant to the Lehman community and to the people that help make what I do happen, Yeah, I might lead the charge, yeah, I might find myself in front of the camera representing us, but at the end of the day, they make the dream work, man. I just help lead them to make it happen.
I can't with you. I can't. I'm like, you leave me todo like enchulada. I'm like, ay, Dios mío, Wilma. You couldn't say it any better. Now, you're a junior at Lehman, right? Let's talk to us about your studies and how you're able to balance all of this.
Oh, man. How do I balance all of it? I try. I tell everyone this, that I try. I'm not perfect. There will be times where I make a mistake. But at the end of the day, I'm only happy that I'm working with professors that understand the kind of things that I do, but also with other students that are either in my class or a part of Lightning Central that understands the kind of workload. And some of them themselves also have internships all over the 5 boroughs. So they themselves also understand the struggles that comes with it. And I think it's with that support and the advice that I get from my peers, colleagues, and my elders that really helped me better manage my time and prioritize what needs my attention this time at this hour. So I always try to give everyone a little piece of me so they can remember me by.
I'm in awe over you. You have such a wonderful future. I mean, you're doing so well right now.
I try.
You're doing great. You're doing great. So before we go, I want to just know where do we direct people to listen to Lightning Central?
Oh, you can find us on various different online platforms. You can find our more shorter form content on Lightning Central, Lightning_Central on Instagram, where our social media manager loves to post different funny clips or videos of what we're doing, the events that we're at, the events sometimes that we host in collaboration with other people. There you'll find, a guy who loves to share what we do. That's why we love him. But if you'd like to listen to our videos and podcasts in full, you can find our video content on YouTube at Lightning Central, or you can just listen to us on Spotify at Lightning Central. Yeah.
And so if somebody wanted to start their own podcast with you, how do they go about receiving that Google form that you mentioned?
So you can go onto our Instagram where we have all of our posters, all of our information posted on there, or you can even email it at us directly at sob.lightning.central@gmail.com. And there we'll be able to reach to you and answer whatever question you have about what we do, whether you want to be a part of us as like a member, a part of the team, or be a producer to start your own show. Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing it here, Willmer. Ay, Dios mío, what a wonderful, wonderful way to spend my Friday. Everyone, Willmer Hernandez, Lehman College Film and Television Studies major, and of course, as we've been mentioning and speaking about, the Lightning Central station manager. And once again, for more information on streaming Lightning Central, you can check them out on YouTube. You can check them out on Spotify, SoundCloud, and that would be at Lightning Central. And of course, all the information that we discuss can be found on their Instagram on at Lightning_Central. I said that right?
Yes.
So it's Instagram Lightning_Central. This next generation is all about IG, so that's the new website for for every business. All right, you guys stay tuned. Our Open Artist Spotlight is coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open, and we are still celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, that's right, with Lehman College President Dr. Delgado, current students, and beyond. Which brings us to our last guest, a Puerto Rican Bronx-based artist and Lehman alumni with a bachelor's degree in multimedia for the performing arts. She is a multifaceted creative, taking on roles both on and off stage. She's now a singer, songwriter, blending classic and modern R&B sounds for a soothing and rich experience. You guys are going to experience it later. She also curates and hosts one of the only live music jam sessions in the Bronx called Live from the Boogie. Here to share more, everyone, please welcome singer-songwriter Mvdii.
Thank you.
So I have to open this up because
Got it. Yeah.
we have to open up with the spelling of your name. So
Okay.
we pronounce it Mvdii,
Yeah.
but according to my records here, it is spelled Mvdii.
Yes.
Please explain.
So two things. One, part of my generation has this thing of where we want to be very unique in like our names, whether it be like branding as artistry or like our social media online profiling. So I wanted to do something that was simple enough where it's like, all right, it's just an upside down A without the line in it. That makes sense. The second one is my full name is actually much different than, not much different, but it's a part of like my nickname. And not everybody gets it right all the time. So I'm like, all right, how can you make it shorter? My grandmother used to call me Mari or Mariposa, which means butterfly. So I kind of just took it and shortened it. And I was like, Mari, I kind of like that. All right, cool, we're going to go with that. So that was born out of it.
So I just want to say that the V serving as an upside down A only makes sense to you.
That's okay.
I'm like, the V.
Art is subjective.
I got it. You're entitled. And it's okay, you know. It's like we just conditioned everyone to understand that for you, it represents an upside down A without the line across.
That's okay. I can live with
I'm
that.
teasing you. You know I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you. But but thank you for being here and congratulations on all this wonderful stuff you're doing, which we're gonna get into a little bit. But I'm so feeling your look.
Thank you.
The flower in the hair. Talk to us about that branding as well.
I've always been connected to nature. I've always feel like I've been very down to earth. I've been told that I'm like very Mother Nature-y. My best friend calls me her Mother Teresa, her Mother Nature. I guess I've been a grounding for my family, lots of friends of mine, and myself included. And I just like flowers. I like flowers. Anything that has to do with like nature, like anything organic and natural, it feels right.
And then, of course, you have this crystal. We were talking about crystals
Yeah.
and the energy and the properties and the benefits of this particular one, which I believe is a blue tiger's eye.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and you wear it for?
For courage, strength, and like keeping myself centered, basically. Just making sure that I am staying true to myself, true to my craft, true to my individuality, and like basically my purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I'm even asking about all this is because it's very clear to me that your whole persona is well thought out.
Thank you.
Yeah, everything serves a purpose, right? So let's talk about the music and even the people you partner up with, right? We'll get into the BX Angels in a bit, right? Because this is about you, and I just love like this whole movement of the next generation. Even though I live in denial, and I say that all the time. I say it all the time, but then I have to be realistic. I'm like, Nana, you're not there with them, but I keep track of all of you. So I'm
Yes.
down with it. I'm down with it. And I just love everything that's been going on with the Bronx Brewery, Ayana, the
Yes,
singer,
yeah.
yes, Uptown Melody.
Yeah.
You see, I know,
Yes.
I know.
You did your homework.
Okay. But no, let's start with you though, and your style of music, and also just how you choose who you're going to partner up with.
Yeah. Okay, so I can start with music. I've been singing since I was like 3. I literally have a recording, or my parents have a recording of me. I learned how to like press the record button on this really old computer, and I ended up making like a little song about my parents. And then from there, they've saw that I had a gift. My dad's a DJ. My mom, she's a dancer. She also sang. She's done events as well. And like I get a lot of myself from them, and then eventually it's just curated into this whole other persona of who I am. So I've been singing for a very long time. I've been a part of like extracurricular activities and programs that nurtured that. So I was a part of this program called Renaissance Youth Center. I was in a band with them for like 6 years, from like the ages of 15 all the way to like 21. And I had the opportunity to just sing and like learn how to be on stage, how to be behind stage, and it was like a rolling stone, just a movement, and just snowballing and going and going, and I can't live without it. Like I went to Lehman College for theater and multimedia and other parts of it, but no matter what, I always came back to music. It didn't matter what it was, where I was at, what I was doing. Music was always like the first love.
Got it. And so, but when you were here and you were studying theater, is it musical theater?
No, that's the surprising part. So I did a lot of, in being in this band, I did a lot of backstage work. I would set up all the equipment, microphones, anything that has to do with AV and tech, I was doing. And then I would sing afterwards. So going into theater, I've always had a love for theater. And I originally went to Pace, but then I moved to Lehman because I felt a lot better here. The community, the different forms and mediums of art was what I wanted to focus on. Because I knew that even if I wasn't doing musical theater, that aspect helped push everything else in between.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because they all feed each other.
They
Each
do,
art
yeah.
form feeds each other. Right. And so, all right, so you kind of work on and off stage.
Yeah.
You also host.
Yes.
Right. And then you're also part of this BX Angels group.
Yeah, the BX Angels, yes.
I like that.
Thank you.
There's 4 of you, right?
Yes, there's 4 of us.
4 members. All right. So, so I want to know about Mvdii's musical endeavors, and then I want to know like the role you play being part of the BX Angels.
So after leaving the band, because I aged out, I kind of was trying to figure out.
What do you mean you aged out?
So there's an age limit in this program because it is a youth program. So in the band itself, you have, I think it's from the ages of 6 to 21 now. Once you hit 21, you kind of age out and you can no longer be a part of the band. So I was like, what do I do now?
So all those years you were singing with the band.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then poof, one day it was done.
Yeah, I was like, I'm an adult now.
No, don't say that. I told you I live in denial. No, aquí no.
No, but I learned to love it. It gave me an opportunity to really like figure out what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. I'm a singer, yeah, but like not just in the band. I'm not a part of a chorus. I'm not a part of a group anymore. Like who's Mvdii? So legit, that took me a minute. I would go to like open mics and jam sessions and be super uncomfortable, by the way, because even though like you're a singer, you're really critical about how you sound, like how you're perceived from other people, like what your art looks like. After a while, I kind of had to bring it in and be like, well, what do I like to sing? Like, what do I enjoy? Like, what do I listen to? Who are my influencers? Like, who do I get my creativity through? So like, my mom played tons of like R&B music. My mom played tons of. Honestly, both my parents played a lot of everything. I'm very well-rounded. There's not one genre that I favor in particular. R&B, just a little bit.
Right.
Just
right.
a little.
Just
However,
a little bit,
right, because that's my specialty. I like it a lot. However, I feel like I bounce around a lot. Like I've heard that I have a little bit of like a jazzy tone, or like the way my melodic structures are can be towards that area. So it just differs. And then eventually I was able to start songwriting, which I've been doing for a while, gain more confidence in it. I started creating different songs.
So how many songs do you have under your belt now?
Under my belt, originals that are mine, I would say like about, honestly, it takes me time to write them, so I would say like maybe a good 5. Only if you're recorded, but like it takes me time to really write them down and be like, all right, this is solidified. Yeah, because I was a writer first before I was a songwriter.
Got it.
So yeah,
Got
poems, short stories, and then I was
Right.
like, all right, now I gotta
Right. Right.
translate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, do
Yeah.
you write for the BX Angels?
Actually, we're writing songs right now. Yeah, we're working on. Hopefully, we're working on a very short EP that will be released soon. We were actually doing a writing session last Wednesday. So yeah, we're doing it as a group though, which is very refreshing. It's different working with
Less
artists.
pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, all right.
She's like, yeah, girl.
Yes. I'm like, oh, I don't think it's hard. Great. It feels good. I'm like, okay, I can bounce off of whatever this person's doing, or this melodic structure, or, oh, I didn't think about that. That perspective is different. Cool. Yeah.
So, before we go, because I know you're going to be singing one of your songs,
Yeah.
and we just discussed a little bit of the BX Angels, and I know it consists of 4 of you. Like, how has that been working with these women, and how were you all chosen to be together?
So, funny story, Ayana the singer, Ayana
Right.
Williams, she has a organization called Uptown Melody.
Right.
And I met her through event creation because I do events as well. I have my own event production company. Through one of her classes, we did a performance 101, and these 3 women were in the class. So eventually, like, we were doing a lot more performances together. We were hanging out a lot more, and then we were joking about, oh my God, can you imagine if we do a girls group? And then they were like, but what if? And then it actually happened, and we're like, are we committed for real? So yeah, we debuted this year at the Bronx Brewery for July 4th, which is really, really cool. We did mostly covers and like our personal original music, which is really, really cool. And then we just been doing rehearsals and legit building it from there. It's been so refreshing. Like, I love it.
I bet it's refreshing for
Yeah.
you because you come from a band background. And You're
Yeah.
used to working with a unit. But today you're going to be performing a solo. So is this one of your songs?
Yes, so it's called Light and Sweet. It's very special because I haven't released it yet. It's still in the process of being recorded. It came about with me and my partner, and we love drinking coffee. He's Puerto Rican like me. So we were like, all right, cool. And he joked about saying, hey, how come you don't make a song about coffee? And I was like, oh, I could. And I write love songs, so I was like, I like my coffee light and sweet, like I like you. And then I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. And then eventually it wrote itself.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love it. I love it. You know, I'm the Café con Leche every Friday. So I can't wait to hear Light and Sweet. We're getting the exclusive.
Yes, absolutely.
It isn't even released yet, mi gente. We're getting the exclusive, which means you got to stay tuned because Mvdii is going to perform for us
Yes.
after the break, and you don't want to miss it. Light and Sweet with your Café con Leche. Love that. Hey everyone, welcome back here now to perform Light and Sweet. Let's give it up for Mvdii.
Got me like, ooh, make it say ah. Got me going, for you. Early morning, rising, looking for love. Only you could give me, caffeinate me, baby, yeah. Your kisses like honey, your warmth to the touch. Just like coffee, baby. Energize every time that you touch my lips. See, it's no surprise that I've become addicted. And it's no surprise I need you in my system. A cup of you and I'll be fine. Early morning, late at night. It's you I crave all of the time. You got me like, you got me like. Got me like, ooh, make it say ah. Got me going, for you. Got me like, ooh, make it say ah. Got me going, for you. I got jitters, the got me can run up up and down your spine, can't reconsider. Every sip of you simply has been divine. Never low, cause I can't crash. Been high on you and I can't go back. Whether you're bold or light and sweet, either way you sweep me off my feet, my cafe boo. Hey, and it's no surprise that I've become addicted. And it's no surprise I need you in my system. A cup of you and I'll be fine. Early morning and late at night, it's you I crave all of the time. You got me like, got me like, ooh, make it say ah, got me going for you. Got me like, ooh, oh, make it say, ah, you got me going, for you, got me like, ooh, make it say, ah, got me going, for you, got me like, make it say, for you. Got me like, ooh, you got me going, for you. Got me like, ooh, you got me going, for you.
Mari, everyone! Woo! Thank you, live studio audience! Woo! Woo! Yes, yes. All right, that was Mari. Once again, for more information, follow her on Instagram at Mvdii.
Yes.
You already know it's spelled Mvdii. Oh my gosh, that was so soothing. What a wonderful way to conclude today's episode honoring Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes.
And once again, if you're interested in higher education within media and the arts, you can visit lehman.edu. And for internship opportunities in television production, make sure to visit Bronxnet.org. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through and to our live in studio audience from creative writing at Lehman. Shout out to Professor Mariposa. And of course, thank you to you, our viewers, for tuning in every single week. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out this episode throughout the weekend and 24 hours a day at Bronxnet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, mi gente. Shout out to Dr. Fernando Delgado.